Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our new unit on writing narratives. To begin this unit, I'm going to give you an overview of what narratives are and how we will write them in the next few weeks. So please watch this entire video on Edpuzzle and complete the questions that go along with each slide so that I know you've watched and understood the lesson. Make sure you have your Chromebook or a piece of paper with you, because along the way I might ask you to pause the video and write down notes or answer questions that I would normally ask you in class. And if you need to view the screen longer or take notes on the slides today, go ahead and pause the video so you can make sure you have everything written down that you need. All right, let's get started. I'm going to take you today through 6 different concepts on how to write a narrative, including introduction to narratives, examples of narrative leads, examples of dialogue, 6 different ways you can begin and end a narrative, and finally the checklist I will be using to grade the narratives you turn in a few weeks. So let's start with what narratives are. Narrative writing is what we usually think of as creative writing. Another word for a narrative is a story, like The Giver, which we read earlier this year, or the book The Hunger Games. I'm sure most of you have read or seen at least. Narrative writing always contains 3 specific elements that function together to form an interesting story. These 3 elements are ones that you should already know, but I reviewed them for you down below here. So you can see they are characters, so the people that are acting out the events in the story, the plot, which is the events that happen in the story, and the setting, which is a description of when and where the story takes place. Moving on to this next slide, you'll see here there are 4 different types of narrative that are common in the writing world. So what I want you to do is pause here and read the descriptions of the 4 different types of narrative and then answer the question on Edpuzzle. Once you've done that, you can move on to the next slide with me. All right, and now we're looking at 3 different examples of narratives in books, movies, and TV. Most of you have probably seen these before, or you've at least heard of them. If not, go ahead and look them up online real quick so you can answer this next question on Edpuzzle. Go ahead and pause the video here and think through your answer. Once you're done, move on with me to the next section, which is narrative leads. So here I'm going to give you 6 different examples of narrative leads in writing. Keep in mind, you don't have to use these, but I think they're great starting points when you brainstorm your narrative. Leads are ways to begin a story that grab your reader's attention. So you can see the talking lead begins with dialogue. You can see the quotation marks there. The sound effect lead starts with an onomatopoeia, smash, so the reader can hear what's going on in the moment they're introduced to the story. The action lead has the main character doing something, which is really interesting. Okay, so why don't you pause the video here and read through these, take notes, because you will probably want to use these later. The next section you'll see is a sample lead that I've given you. What I want you to do is pause the video here and read through this example lead and answer the next question on Edpuzzle. All right, moving on, 6 different ways to begin a narrative. You can see here, some of these are repeated from the lead section, but there's a few differences. What do you think those differences are? And next, sample narrative endings. So there's 2 slides that have to go with this section, and there are 10 whole ways to end your narrative. I've given you 10 different examples, okay? Because sometimes the beginning is easy when you're writing a narrative, but finding a good ending to wrap up everything that you want to say can be kind of hard. So I want you to pause the video here and write down the 10 different ways that you can end your narrative, and then answer the question on Edpuzzle. All right, here's the next slide. You can take notes and pause here and answer the question. All right, and last but not least, our narrative checklist. This is what I will be using to grade your narratives in a few weeks, okay? You'll see here there are 3 categories I'm grading you on: sentence structure, grammar and mechanics, and your mastery of the concept of narrative. Okay, so take a minute, pause this video, and read through the requirements so that you know when you're starting to brainstorm for your narrative what I'm going to be looking for, all right? And last but not least, the next 2 slides are examples. You can pause here to read this example from last year, and you can pause here to click on the narrative writing brainstorm assignment that is due at 11:59 on Friday. All right, I'll take the weekend and look at these and let you know my thoughts on them, all right? Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.